Welcome, I'm Patrick McNee. Throughout the course of this series, we will investigate the secrets of the universe, the mysteries of the Earth, and the miracles occurring before us. You can decide for yourself what you believe. On a starry night, you see beautiful spheres of light flashing across the horizon, defying all earthly logic. You're not alone, since many have witnessed this very same experience. The question, however, is, are we alone?
UFOs had been visiting the planet Earth before recorded history. And this goes clear back beyond even the Old Testament, which is dated by Archbishop Usher as 4000 BC.
The modern UFO phenomenon, or should I say the modern UFO wave, began in February of 1942 with an incident called the Battle of Los Angeles, in which a UFO actually parked itself over the city of Culver City for a period of several hours, and a photograph of this object actually appeared on the front page of the Los Angeles Times and the Wall Street Journal at that time. And then, of course, the later incidences began to occur with the crash of what we believe to be extraterrestrial saucers outside of Roswell, New Mexico, and then the famous sighting of Kenneth Arnold over Mount Rainier, who coined the term flying saucers, which is where we get the term flying saucers today.
UFO sightings have taken place over major cities and in full view of many, many people. For instance, the one that was taken over San Francisco, California. We have pictures of UFOs that were taken in formation, if you please, over Washington, D.C. And then there were some over Baltimore. There were some over Miami, Florida. Some over Chicago. Some over New York City, seen by many, many people. Only these particular sightings, for some reason, did not make the front pages.
Since the sightings in Mexico City began, we have actually had more mass sightings by more people. A pair of rather large flying saucers actually parked themselves over Mexico City, were videotaped from hundreds of different locations, and were witnessed by close to 27 million people. Gulf Breeze, Florida is particularly hot right now. Fife, Alabama. There are areas in Wisconsin which are very, very rife with activity. Just recently in the media, there have been places in Michigan, along the lakes there, along Lake Michigan, on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, in which there's been a mass amount of activity. For many years, there was activity at a place called Area 51, which I personally had blown the lid off of and investigated, and I believe a lot of that was military activity, and I believe it was moved in the early part of 1994.
One of the hot spots on the desert as far as UFO communication and landings and sightings are concerned seem to be the high desert area in Giant Rock, right near Yucca Valley. That seems to be a place where people congregate by the hundreds, and they do see some strange things out there. Another place is on the edge, which is called the Mailbox area of Area 51, not too far from Las Vegas, Nevada. You will see things in the sky that defy human imagination.
By about 1986, 87 or so, there started to be some very unusual things that were spotted around that area, which led us as researchers to begin to investigate this wave of UFO activity. And it got to the point of where I could take a group of people out there, and we would camp out by the fence just on the other side of the border of Area 51 and basically see flying saucers flying virtually on a timetable basis every Wednesday night from about 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., or whenever the sun would set until about 9:30 or so, and then starting up again about 4:45 a.m. Thursday morning the next morning.
In the files of the National Investigations Committee, we have quite a few reports on the famous Roswell, New Mexico sighting. Now, it appears that though this was perhaps one of the most widely acclaimed evidences of a UFO governmental secrecy and cover-up, the facts pertaining to that particular sighting are so uncanny, because you had witness after witness after witness after witness attesting to one particular story, and the Air Force investigators and the press following the Air Force investigators more so than the individual witnesses concocted a story that was nothing but a collapsed weather balloon. Following the rules of evidence, there is no doubt in my mind, nor in the minds of any individual with an ounce of brain who reads the report exactly as it happened, as opposed to the report of the cover-up. There was a crashed UFO on the outskirts of Roswell, New Mexico.
What exactly constitutes proof? I mean, nothing counts. Photographs, they claim, can now be faked. And of course, we're talking about photographs that date all the way back to the 1940s or so. And they say, so photographic evidence can be easily faked, so that doesn't count. Eyewitness testimony doesn't count, even though the eyewitness testimony comes from presidents, popes, prime ministers, generals, police officers, individual that we trust with our very lives, firemen, et cetera, but their testimony doesn't count. Videotape doesn't count, simply because, you know, it is supposedly that too can be faked. Film doesn't count. Top secret government documents don't count because they can all be forged. So my challenge to them is, what exactly counts as proof? If you wanted to prove the existence of UFOs in a court of law, it could be done relatively simply. But the fact is that you have the various UFO debunkers who would much rather attack the reputations of the people who saw something rather than actually dealing with the evidence.
You can go out to the desert or out to any place that's completely void of the bright lights of any given city, and you choose yourself a certain frame within that framework and look at the sky and keep watching the sky. You will invariably see strange lights. By strange, I mean multicolored lights, and they'll move sometimes in a zigzag formation, sometimes in a straight line, and they're not stars, and they're not satellites, because satellites have an established pattern, and so do stars, unless they're falling stars. But usually out in the desert area, you can choose and watch, and something up there out of the ordinary will occur.